This should be played at high volume, preferably in a residential area.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen.
1, 2, 3. Lovely. Good evening, everyone. It's Thursday night. It's 7 o'clock, and you're watching the Maastricht edition. Good evening.
Yay! Good evening, everybody. Welcome to the Maastricht edition. Here we are again, and what a different week we have this week to last week, Tracy.
We were just talking about that before we were getting ready to go live. And if you think back to 7 days ago, Joe, I mean, my goodness, what a different view we had to start with, and we were chatting about lots of scary stuff.
Yeah, last week it was like actually being in a BBC newsroom, because we had breaking news coming in about evacuations, about the flooding. It was quite a horrific scene generally all over South Limburg, and especially in the surrounding areas, places like Valkenburg, for example. They were having a really hard time, and then the mass then went belly up, and it was a big evacuation in the middle of Maastricht. It really was quite horrid, wasn't it?
It was quite hard, and sadly, I think now most authorities here, and also neighbouring Belgium and Germany, where they've been even extra hard hit as well, they're still kind of calculating the cost and also sadly busy with still clean-up operations and assessing the horrible damage that's been left behind.
Yeah.
It was quite an intense 48 to 72 hours, really. And I think both of us personally know people who were actually evacuated from their homes. Yes,
yeah, I was watching the news, and I actually saw a friend of mine being evacuated from her house, and yeah, it's very upsetting to see. But it seems that there is some good news over the last week. You know, the water is starting to recede, and people are starting to clear up. But of course, this takes so much time. And the thing is, on top of what we've been through in the last 18 months and now having to deal with this, I think actually it's a good job we have the guests coming on this evening that we do. Adina Petre is going to be in the house from Insight. She's a trauma specialist in psychology. She works out of Maastricht here. She is coming on to talk to us about the sort of stress we're feeling now that we can get out of the house. So we've had all of this stress we've been dealing with for the last 18 months of being stuck inside our homes and not being able to get out. And now it's the flip side of that, where we've got our freedom, but for some of us, actually, that's a little scary.
It is. It's remarkable how suddenly the unusual becomes the usual, and the unfamiliar becomes, something you track to.
Yes.
Personally, I've absolutely had these feelings where I felt almost anxious to leave the house and venture out, see other people interact. It has been definitely something to kind of overcome.
Yes.
And sadly, the latest news is, I mean, things are still not 100% back. There's talk about going backwards come fall, come autumn. So who knows if more restrictions and lockdowns will be another part of life in the later part of this year.
Yeah, it may well be. But Adina's going to be here to talk about this. So if anybody has got any questions at all about how to cope with this, about taking those first steps outside, maybe you haven't ventured outside, maybe you're still worried about leaving the house, maybe you're worried that you're going to be getting COVID, whether you're worried about being in a room with lots of people, mask wearing, not to wear a mask, all of these changes in the regulations. So get in touch. She's going to be here in about half an hour's time. I suspect we'll probably touch on the flooding issue as well while she's here.
Absolutely.
But the sun is shining now, Tracy. So
it is. Yes, it's actually quite warm. We had something almost 30 degrees here today. I mean, the weather is is very beautiful, which is even more odd considering a week ago it was a very different view looking out the window. But very nice to see this. It's also, I think, psychologically a lift for people to at least see and feel some sunshine. And of course, the warm weather is helping to dry things up a little bit. So yeah, indeed.
Absolutely. And of course, we're just the two of us again this evening.
Just the two of us.
We can make it if we try.
Oh, when Matt's away, the girls will sing, apparently.
Oh dear, yes. Well, let's try and keep hold of the listeners that we've got. And yes, lovely Matt, he's not with us again this day. He's off gallivanting somewhere.
These part-timers, honestly.
I know. So yes, he's off having fun somewhere out there. He should be back in a couple of weeks. So you've just got the two of us this evening, but we've still got lots coming up in the show. We've still got This Day in History. We've got Titty Bitties. We're going to be covering Matt's Going Dutch as well. We've got the news. It's all here. It's all here. And of course, we always have a theme going on. We do. And a little bird told me that, is it tomorrow is International Ice Cream Day?
Yes, it is. I mean, ice cream is quite wonderful, and it's got its own day. Apparently, it's tomorrow, 23rd of July.
Well, we can't knock that.
Hey, the theme is cream this evening, so it's all good.
Oh, very nice, Trace. The theme is cream. That's another website entirely.
I hope Jason's not watching because he's probably exploding now with all these thoughts.
Yeah, that's a completely different show. However, who doesn't like ice cream? I mean, I don't think I've ever met anybody who doesn't like ice cream. And there's so many flavours to choose from. What is your favourite, Trace?
Oh my goodness, I would probably have to go for the classic Italian stracciatella.
Oh, lovely.
Yes, really, really nice. But there's nothing wrong with plain old vanilla from time to time. But I think
it's a really good vanilla.
Exactly. And I have to say, it's been so long since I've had one because you don't really get them here. I love a 99.
Now, for those people out there who haven't got a clue what you're talking about, which is probably most of anybody else on the planet except for the Brits. Oh, no. And you're Irish, so you know as well, but everybody else on the planet going, what the hell's a 99?
Yes, it's nothing dramatic. It's like a Mr. Whippy, isn't it? It's an ice cream cone filled with very nice, soft, whipped ice, kind of in a little twirl, and it comes with a piece of chocolate flake in the side. Oh, it's just so wonderful. You see that, you think of summer, you think of the beach, you think of childhood. It's all good. Indeed, Adam. Yes, he's giving a visual here in the background. And the thing is, with these 99s, there was always this discussion about how you eat yours. Do you eat the flake first? Yeah. Or do you, like I do, you push the flake into the body of the cone, eat the ice, and then munch the cone and the leftover ice cream and the flake at the end?
Yeah. Well, I'm definitely pushing the flake into the...
Absolutely. Yeah. I'm with you on that one, Joe. See, we're not weird at all.
No, we're not. But I do believe if I was dating somebody, if it was like the early part of the relationship, that could be a deal breaker if they're not eating their ice cream properly.
Well, I've heard couples who've split for less, I can tell you. So,
and I do remember as a kid, actually, when the ice cream van used to come around the streets and we'd all run out with our pennies to go and buy an ice cream. I used to get very excited about an oyster. And these were 2 wafers in the shape of a shell that were glued together at the bottom with marshmallow. And then there would be chocolate and coconut on the bottom, and then pipes in the middle would be the soft ice cream, the whippy ice cream.
Oh my God! I'm sorry, viewers. I'm dribbling all over the microphone right now. That sounds amazing.
Oh, they were just delightful.
Wow.
And that's the memories that stay with you. You see.
But they are. You see. Oh, now I'm hungry.
So we want to know, viewers, listeners, come on, tell us your favourite ice cream. What is your favourite flavour? I must admit, if I'm going to go for one of those that's in a nice tall glass where you have a mixture of all different ice cream and fruit and stuff, I like a fruity ice cream. I like to have maybe sort of like wild berries or maybe a bit of mango or something like that. So
very exotic. It reminds me of those old desserts, Knickerbocker Glory. Wasn't that something in a big tall glass with fruit.
Yes, I remember they were so big that you'd need scaffolding to get to the top, but that was just because I was so small at the time. You look now and you're like, really?
Yeah. Call that a knickerbocker glory.
Yeah, exactly.
Indeed.
But, yeah, so tell us, what are your favourite flavours of ice cream? We would love to know.
Yeah.
Now, of course, normally at this time we would have Matt reviewing an album that we'd chosen for him. He's not here. He wasn't here last week, so we couldn't get him an album to review. So Tracy and I thought, well, maybe we'll just quickly have a chat about the sort of music that we're listening to at the moment and maybe make some recommendations. So Trace, what have you been listening to this week?
Well, exciting news, people. I've gone and gotten myself a Spotify account.
Oh my goodness.
Ooh, I know. I didn't have one until now.
21.
I don't know myself, it's like, oh, there's so much stuff on here, because I do have quite a large physical CD and LP collection, but a lot of stuff I don't have. So I have to tell you, this past week, I've been pretty much on repeat listening to the ultimate collection of The Kinks.
Oh, have you? Oh, lovely.
Oh my God, Waterloo Sunset. It's the earworm of the moment. It's going, but they had such great hits, and so many. And like this one and that one, that's also them, and that's them, and that one too.
Yeah.
And it's really, I wish I'd lived in the 60s. I think the music back then was so much better. I don't know, but the Kinks, love it. Or as Joe would say, like it a lot.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah. And do you know what? There is a kind of connection to who I've been listening to this week, because the Kinks brothers famously didn't get along very well.
That's true.
There was a lot of bother.
A lot of bother
between the two of them. And there's another couple of brothers, very famously, who don't get on. So much so that since the band split up, they've not really been talking to each other at all. And of course, I'm talking about the Gallaghers from Oasis. And I've been listening to a lot of Noel Gallagher lately. And you know what? I have a bit of a love-hate relationship with both of them. I like Oasis. I like the songs. Mm-hmm. I think Liam Gallagher, unfortunately, comes across as a bit of a... Yeah. And sometimes Noel as well, when provoked, he comes across as a bit of a... So I struggle with them a little bit as people, as individuals. Possibly if I met them, I would fall in love with them and they would be absolutely lovely. But sometimes when they just don't come across very well when you see them in interviews, you're so talented, drives me crazy. However, Noel Gallagher, especially since going solo, he's been writing some cracking stuff, absolutely cracking stuff. So I think there's 3 albums now, and yeah, I've been listening to those really, really. Eric has just messaged, Liam Gallagher comes across as a bit of a Bezos rocket. Now, for people out there who don't know what this means, Jeff Bezos, who's the retired CEO of Amazon, has recently gone up in a rocket, and the rocket has to be shaped like a...
Okay, got you. I'm catching up. Oh dear. Thank you, Eric. He's always very observant, isn't he, Eric? It's really nice when, he always has good insights.
He does have very good insights. Thank you, Eric. Mr. Vaughan Taylor's in the house.
Hello, Dad. Another lover of the Kinks.
He says, do you remember Coop Danmarks in Austria?
Oh, yes, I do. And I'm not sure I'm going to share that story, but let me just say, I'm Coop Denmark. And the something is for me. Ice Cafe, that was it. So this is a little in joke, never mind. But I'm sure my dad is now giggling as he watches us. Actually, my dad told me this week he actually watches the show on the TV.
Oh! So
no,
we're quite big on the TV.
Huge.
Hi, Mr. Taylor. I hope it's not in that super, was it HD or whatever it is?
No, you're fine, dear.
God knows what you can see, but I tell you what, there's also something I wanted. Oh, there's Adina. She says hello. She's going to be joining us very shortly, of course. Something I want to pick up on that's that you mentioned earlier, actually, Tracy, and because you said the word earworm.
I did.
It's funny you should mention that, because I was actually looking into earworms this week. Now, we call them earworms, which of course is these particular melodies that get stuck in your head, and even after they've stopped playing, they just continue at the back there, sort of like, and you end up humming it or singing it, and even it can be a song that you absolutely hate, but it's still, and that happens to me an awful lot. I find myself humming a tune. Oh God, I hate that song, but it just won't let go. It won't let go. Well, it turns out that apparently there is an official word for earworms. It's called involuntary musical imagery, INME. And this is a catchy or memorable piece of music or saying that continuously occupies a person's mind after no longer is being played or spoken about. So yes, it is an actual thing. There has been lots of research into this. And there is some key characteristics. So, according to research done by the American Psychological Association, there are some characteristics that make songs more likely to become earworms. They usually have a fast-paced tempo and easy to remember melody. Earworms also tend to have unusual intervals or repetitions that make them stand out from other songs. And they also tend to be played on the radio a lot more, which is probably why you hear them. Now, there is a top 10, and in this top 10, these are songs that apparently just kept coming up while they were doing the research. In the top 10, there's actually 3 Lady Gaga songs.
You're kidding.
Wow. You've got Bad Romance, Alejandro, and Poker Face.
Oh, wow.
But here's one that I know you will absolutely love, and you will be singing it. And as soon as I say this, you're going to be singing it. It's stick with you for the rest of the week. It's a Kylie song.
Yes.
Can't Get You Out of My Head.
Quite ironic, actually. Nice.
And it's one of those that, yes, and here's one that I have quite often. Moves Like Jagger by Maroon 5.
Oh yes, that's indeed one that's on the radio quite a bit. Yeah. Oh.
The ultimate one, of course, Bohemian Rhapsody by Queen.
Yeah. This is actually one. Well, in the days when I was able to get back to Ireland for Christmas, we might often end up singing this song as a sort of family act almost. Yeah. You know, but interesting. Yeah. Well, I've had Waterloo Sunset in my head for the last 3 days. Just da 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 dee da da. Yeah, see, Dave and I received a copy of Metropolitan magazine, which is the Eurostar magazine that they send out once a quarter, and I was like, oh, London, and I thought, well, maybe we should look to see if we can go. But Eurostar, in all their wisdom, have changed the train times, and now with the UK and vaccinations, this and that, I fear it's just going to be a dream.
Yeah, it's not worth it, because there's so many cancellations, and they're changing the rules within 24 hours.
I know. Yeah, we were even thinking of going for a day trip, over early, back late, but even that's not doable, sadly.
And some people have to isolate, some people don't. Doesn't matter if you're double vaccinated and all that. Oh, it's just, I would stay away for now. It's too much stress. It would actually be a stressful trip, I think, because you'll be worried while you're there.
Yeah. Oh. Can I get back?
Yes, exactly.
So okay. Well, let's put all travel on hold until 2022.
Oh, don't.
And hope.
Oh. Right, this is too depressing a subject.
Move on.
Let's move on. So this evening we are asking you for your favourite ice creams. Tell us, what are your favourite flavours as far as the ice cream is concerned, because tomorrow is International Ice Cream Day. And if you've got any earworms, one of those songs that keep turning up in your head and you're just sort of like, oh yeah, can't get rid of it. And now that I've planted Kylie in your head, that's you can't get her out of your head.
Yeah, that's true. And I'm sure if there's any people watching who have young children, they'll be very familiar with Baby Shark. Do, 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 Baby
Oh,
Shark.
why did you do that? Why
See?
did you do that?
It's quite
I
addictive.
tell you what was on the radio the other day, which really bugging me. I'm blue, na 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 na, and it's horrible, isn't it? It's horrible. I'm blue, na 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 na. Oh God! And it's difficult to get rid of it.
June, we've got to lighten the mood. This is very depressing.
How about we chill down a little bit? How about we get a little bit relaxed, maybe? We put our feet up. Maybe you're sitting outside as it's so nice and sunny at the moment, enjoying the weather. Or maybe like Tracy's dad, you're sitting in front of the massive TV, watching us in all our glory. And we're now going to get you all zen-like in your comfy chair and relax, maybe with a nice cup of tea. Maybe you've got a cold beer. But it's time for the whole of Maastricht to just stop. Yes. It is time for This Day in History.
I was sounding like a ghost at the end. It's like, woo!
I have to say, Tracy, you're good, but we do need Matt.
Yeah, we need Matt for his this. Yeah, indeed, you're right. Just another week to go, and he'll be back with us.
Absolutely. That's Thursday, the 22nd of July, 2021. Only a week to go, and it's the end of the month. Oh my goodness!
Now, it's nearly August.
This is a bit of a somber one to actually start on, but I did find it sort of like, oh my goodness. So on this day in 1918, lightning struck in Utah, Wasatch National Park, killing 504 sheep. And this was, I know, it's very sad, but this is because they were all huddled together. The lightning struck and that was it. I mean, it's quite amazing.
That is amazing.
In one go.
That is a lot of sheep.
That is a lot of sheep.
Very big bolt of lightning, it would seem.
Absolutely. It's quite astonishing, isn't it? So anyway, we'll move on from that. On this day in 1923, the 17th Tour de France was won by Henri Pellissier of France.
Formidable.
33 on this very day, Wiley Post completes the first solo flight around the world. It took him 7 days and 19 hours.
Ah, okay.
That's quite quick, actually.
That's quite fast.
It's quite quick. On this day in 1939, Jane Bolin becomes the first African-American female judge in New York. And in 1950, King Leopold returns to Belgium after 6 years in exile.
Ah, I see. Mm-hmm.
I don't know what you've been doing. In 1959, on this very day, Ed Wood's cult classic, Plan 9 from Outer Space, is called one of the worst films ever. And this was the day that it premiered. So, Tracy.
Well, I've never seen it. I'm not going to.
I know, but I suspect there's some films that you have seen, and you've said, you know what, this is the worst film ever.
Actually, there is quite a distinguished list, in fact. So yeah, I do have quite a few humdingers.
What have you got, Trace?
Well, there was one that was starring the lovely Ryan Reynolds. Now, I've seen him in The Proposal and in Deadpool, and you know he was really good and nice. So I thought I'll go along and I'll check out Green Lantern. Oh my God, that was pretty awful. It's based on the comic book, superhero thing, but it really wasn't good. And actually, Ryan Reynolds himself has been known to refer to this movie in other movies and refer to how bad it was. So it was that bad. Another one that I just didn't like at all was The Hangover, which is this one with that Bradley Cooper guy, the guy who goes to Las Vegas or something. I don't know. I find it so irritating. Yes. And I'm not a fan of Mr. Cooper. I only liked him in A Star Is Born. And for the rest, and the other one, which, oh my God, was just terrible. I love Indiana Jones. I loved the Temple of Doom, Raiders of the Lost Ark. But then they went and made Indiana Jones and the Crystal Skull.
And that was it.
Dreadful. What about you, Joe? Do you have any?
Oh, it's quite simple. Anything with Jim Carrey.
Oh no! Really? Oh no! I like most of his films, not all.
Do you know, again, and I've seen him in interviews, and he comes across very well. I'm sure he is actually a very, very nice bloke. But when he's trying to be funny and he pulls those stupid faces, I'm like, oh my goodness.
So the mask was not for you.
No,
he was good in Liar Liar.
I like him
that one.
when he's in a serious role. It's okay, but when he's doing oh god, no, don't be on. Same with Adam Sandler. He's another one. Probably the nicest guy on the planet, but when he's trying to be funny, no, sorry, next. I just can't be doing it. And I'm also going to name 2 Oscar-winning films here. 2 films that won for Best Picture. Okay.
Wow.
And one of them is Titanic. I can't stand it. I'm sorry. This was a very, very tragic story, and they made it all about those 2 silly lovebirds. And meanwhile, a ship is sinking. There's hundreds of people dying, and violins are playing, and it's all about my love, floating on a table in the middle of the sea, and doing stuff, steaming up windows in an old car. And I'm sorry, no. Oh no. No.
I see your point, though. I do see your point.
I thought it was disrespectful of actually what happened. I thought it was shocking, absolutely shocking. And the last one I'm going to leave you with is La La Land. I did not get that at all.
I haven't seen it, and I actually not all that pushed to see it, to be honest. A lot of people love it.
I'm a big fan of all the big MGM movies, and I love a musical. I really do love a musical. But this, for me, was so underplayed. It was very lackluster. It was just, no, sorry. Didn't do it for me.
There you go.
So that's how I feel about it anyway. So
tell us what you really think, Joe.
If anybody else out there has got some films that they really, really hate, then do let us know. Anyway, moving swiftly on. 1969, on this very day, Aretha Franklin gets arrested for disturbing the peace in Detroit.
Ooh, well.
I don't know what she did to disturb the peace. She might have been singing, of course. You know?
Yeah.
She's got a very loud voice.
There, yeah, indeed.
In 1983, on this very day, Dick Smith makes his first solo helicopter flight around the world.
Right.
And in 1992, the Colombian drug lord Pablo Escobar escapes from prison.
Right.
A good day for him, not a good day for the prison governor.
There you go. No, that was not a good day.
Not a good day. 2 years later, in 1994, former NFL running back, broadcaster and actor O.J. Simpson pleads absolutely 100% not guilty of murder. That was the collective view of everybody on the planet. 2004, on this very day, the 37th San Diego Comic-Con International opens at San Diego Convention Center. How much would you love to go to one of those, Tracy?
Oh, yes, please. They actually do have a Dutch Comic-Con. It's here, I think, in Utrecht, I believe. But, of course, last year was cancelled and this year is cancelled. So maybe next year I can finally dress up.
Maybe we should make it a Maastricht edition do.
We should.
We'd all get dressed up.
So cool.
Yeah.
Let's make that a date. I think next year, if we are able to travel and go places, just every weekend we'll be doing something just to kind of make up for.
And get dressed up as well.
Oh yes.
I'll just be Wonder Woman every single weekend wherever we go.
Fabulous Wonder Woman.
Speaking of which, actually, in 2019, Marvel superhero film Avengers Endgame became the world's highest grossing film, overtaking Avatar. Oh, that was a bad one as well.
Oh, no.
Earning $2.9 billion. $2.9 billion. That's nuts.
Insane, isn't it? Insane money. Yeah. I've not seen it. I didn't contribute to that.
And finally, on this day, 2020, last year, Kim Kardashian asked for understanding of her husband, Kanye West, as he struggles with his bipolar disorder on Instagram. Now, we could have some sympathy here. However, it was only a couple of months later that she asked him for a divorce. So,
Okay.
I'll just leave that with you there. Let's have a look at some
Yeah,
birthdays. On this day in 1890, Rose Fitzgerald Kennedy, the American matriarch mother of JFK, RFK, and Ted, was born in Boston, Massachusetts in 1990 and died in 1995. 1930, Sonny Liston, the American boxer, world heavyweight champion, was born in Johnson Township, Arkansas. In 1946, Danny Glover, the American actor, famous for Lethal Weapon. Love Lethal Weapon. He was born on that very day. 1973, Rufus Wainwright, American-Canadian singer, born in Rhinebeck, New York. And finally, 2013, Prince George of Cambridge, son of Prince William and Catherine, Duke and Duchess of Cambridge, he's also the third in line to the throne, was born in London, England. So happy birthday, people.
Happy birthday.
And happy birthday to anybody else who's celebrating a birthday today. Hope you're having a lovely day, however you celebrate it. And that was this day in history. There you go.
Very good, darling. Very good.
So, your dad agrees with me. You're right, Jim. Jim Carrey is hopeless.
Oh no.
Except for the Truman Show. Actually, the Truman Show wasn't bad, to be fair. It wasn't bad, but he was playing a more serious role. In that
it was actually quite a serious movie. For him,
so,
based on his catalogue.
Yeah, and he's doing more dramatic roles. But yes, Jim. Oh God.
Okay, don't let it bother you, dear. Happy place.
Yeah, he just puts me in a bad mood.
Oh dearie.
So we've got Adina Petre coming up very shortly. Yes. She's going to be coming to have a chat with us about how to deal with the stress of leaving the house now that we can leave the house. But before we get there, I think it's probably time for a bit of news.
Yes, I'm ready to go.
Tracy Taylor with the news.
Thank you, Joe, and good evening, everyone. It's July 22nd, and you're watching the Maastricht edition on Facebook Live. First, a look at your weekend weather, and tomorrow will start off dry, but will become cloudier with the chance of localized showers as the day goes on. Temperatures will reach 25 degrees. Saturday and Sunday will be slightly warmer, and although we will still have sunny spells, there is a risk of thunderstorms. Moving to your news bulletin for tonight. Church bells rang out across Norway today as the Prime Minister called on the country to stand up against the hatred that drove Anders Breivik to wage devastating attacks 1 decade ago. On July 22, 2011, the right-wing extremists detonated the bomb near the government headquarters in Oslo before going on a shooting spree at a summer camp for left-wing youths on the island of Utøya. 77 people died that day, and the attack was the most violent in Norway's post-war history. Flood damage in the town of Valkenburg is estimated at 400 million euros following flooding of the Gul last week. The high water on the Maas River has caused damage to 2,300 homes in the municipality. So far, 900 tons of household effects have been removed from homes, which will need 2 to 3 months to dry out. Further cleanup operations are still ongoing. The mental health impact of the coronavirus pandemic will be long-term and far-reaching, according to the World Health Organization. Experts have called for action on COVID-linked anxiety and stress, the psychological impact of lockdown and self-isolation, and the worries linked to unemployment and social alienation. A majority of Dutch provinces have been categorized as Europe's most serious risk level for coronavirus today. 7 of the country's 12 provinces are now classified dark red. Groningen has had the most positive cases, followed by Noord-Holland, Utrecht, South Holland, Noord-Brabant, Gelderland, and Overijssel. The remaining provinces of Drenthe, Flevoland, Friesland, Zeeland, and Limburg remain at level red. With the highly contagious Delta variant of the coronavirus already spreading through the Netherlands, experts believe the country is in for a difficult autumn and that some lockdown restrictions may have to be implemented. Currently, about 45% of adults in the Netherlands are fully vaccinated against COVID-19. French cinemas, museums, and sport venues have begun asking visitors to provide proof of a COVID-19 vaccination or a negative test as the country rolls out a controversial vaccine passport system. The health pass is currently required for all events or places with more than 50 people, and this will be extended to restaurants, cafes, and shopping centres as of August. Yesterday, thousands of mourners paid their respect to Dutch crime reporter Peter R. de Vries, who was shot dead in Amsterdam 2 weeks ago. Many attendees were in tears as they said goodbye to a man whose staunch advocacy on behalf of the families of crime victims earned him widespread respect and admiration. Britain's Prince Harry is to publish a memoir next year. It will cover his lifetime in the public eye, including his time in the military, his marriage, and on being a father. The Duke of Sussex has said the memoir will not be written as the prince he was, but more as the man he has become. It is said that Harry will be donating the proceeds of the book to charity. And it seems the Netherlands is still the largest beer exporter in Europe and the second largest exporter in the world after Mexico. Germany and France are the third and fourth largest beer exporters within the European Union. And holidaymakers should take into account that there will be a lot of traffic jams throughout Europe this weekend as the start of the summer holidays begins in many countries. Here in the Netherlands, traffic is expected to be particularly heavy on Friday with delays and traffic jams. Due to the pandemic, it seems more Europeans than ever will go on holiday by car. And finally tonight, the grey seal population in the Dutch part of the Wadden Sea is increasing. Researchers counted 6,788 grey seals in the Dutch waters this past spring, 20% more than last year. The grey seals can mostly be found in the area between the islands of Vlieland and Terschelling. And that's it for tonight. For more local news, you can follow RTV News in English on Facebook and Instagram. If you are a local business, be sure to check out the Support Your Local Business South Limburg Facebook page, a joint initiative between #Maastricht and the Maastricht Edition. And if you want to discover events, concerts, and cultural activities going on in Maastricht and the surrounding areas, head on over to the website of our partner, maastrichter.com, to check out their awesome calendar of events. And don't forget that you can always find us on the Maastricht Edition Facebook page, on our YouTube channel, on Redbubble, and on Instagram. For all the details, check out the maastrichtedition.nl.
Lovely stuff, Tracy. That was a lot of news.
I know, it was a bit more than usual, wasn't it? So but there we go, but all relevant and some rather interesting. So traffic jams on the way and, you know, lots of other stuff going on, but there we are.
Yeah, but there has been, this past week some rather sad stuff going on. So, and certainly all this clear up is going to cost an absolute fortune. It really is. But it's been quite uplifting to see actually the amount of help that has been put out on social media. So many people reaching out saying, look, I've got a bed for the night if you need it. I've got some pumps if you need help pumping out water. I've got food, somewhere to put your pets, because of course there was a lot of people who needed help with their animals. It does make you think. Speaking of animals, I have to apologise. There's been a couple of occasions where I've had a fly keeps landing on my camera. I mean, really, I'm sitting in a really big room here, and there's so many things you could land on, but no, you've got to land on that tiny little camera.
It's almost as if he knew. I'm sure it's the same fly from last week, actually. He seems to just be playing with you, Joe.
I think you may be right.
Well, little Tom's also made an appearance earlier and decided to walk by and put his butt on the microphone. So it's a bit of an animal evening, it seems.
He's got such a lovely butt. Let's be fair.
He does have a lovely bum. Don't you, little Tubbs? He's now asleep next to me, but good.
I think it's about time we got Adina in the house anyway. Adina Petre from Insights is going to be joining us. She's going to be helping us work through what some people are suffering at the moment is a little bit of stress after being locked in for so long. And here she is, Adina. Good evening.
Good evening, everybody.
Lovely to see you. How are you?
Thank you for having me. I'm all right. I'm trying to enjoy the kind of summer that we're having.
Yeah, it's a little hit and miss, isn't it?
It's a little bit moody, yes. It's like we're still stuck in April somehow.
Yeah, so yes, it's a bit of a time warp going on. But before we go any further, I just want to check, last week, did you have any issues with the flooding at all?
No, thankfully I was safe and sound, and some of my closest friends as well have been all right.
Yeah. It's and there's that fly again. Sorry, for God's sake.
Maybe he wants to be on the show.
I think he does want to be on the show. For sure. We don't want him on the show. So,
Oh.
but anyway, we're here to talk about something serious this evening, Adina, because often we've had you on the show many times before. You have insights in Maastricht that people can, yeah, actually that's quite clever, isn't it? You have insights. And
Yes,
your
what you
business is called
I see
Insights. It's as if all of a sudden there was a light bulb moment, and I've just realised why you're called Insights.
So
Oh my
it
goodness,
perfect. Oh my God.
that took ages.
Yes, I have
But
insights.
you have a safe place that people can come to talk about any problems, issues, traumas that they have. And of course, what people have been talking about for the last year is actually the stress of living with COVID all around them, having to be isolated and not being able to get out. But now that's turned 180 degrees and we are now allowed out, which for many is like fantastic, can't wait to get out. But there's a select few, of course, that are finding this very, very difficult because all of a sudden, oh, is it safe to be outside? We don't have to wear masks. Who's got COVID, who hasn't, who's been vaccinated, who hasn't, and there are many people now who are not leaving the house.
Yes, yes. It is a different kind of stress. And I would say, try to imagine that effect when a train has been running for so long, and then suddenly it comes at a halt in the train station, but the last wagons are still slamming in. So a little bit of the stress that we are all experiencing at the moment is actually cumulative stress that has been gathering for over a year now. And now that the conditions are a little bit more relaxed, the stress can actually surface. So that's one type of stress that is showing up. And then the other one is similar to after you've been maybe fasting for a long time or dieting for a while, and then you finally have a big meal or you splurge on a buffet and you're just taking everything in, and then your body has to a bit give up. This is a bit the effect because we've been in isolation. It's been very secluded. We've been lacking a lot of stimulation, noises, smells, different visual cues of so many people. And now our sensory apparatus is being overwhelmed because all of a sudden, from having very little to think about and operate with, it has a lot to see and operate with and think about. So this is the second kind of stress that we are experiencing at the moment.
So for people who may consider themselves to be an easygoing person, sort of, I don't get stressed about things, I'm fine, I've been sailing through the last year, no problem whatsoever, working from home has been really, really easy. And then they're finding actually they're still not going out. They're finding excuses not to take up those invitations. What are the things that they should be looking for that maybe should be ringing alarm bells?
Well, I think we're dealing with a case of this sensorial overload. So if people are having an issue with that, my recommendation would be that they try to ease into it. Of course, we cannot avoid forever being social, but rather than going in the middle of the Vrijthof and being social with everybody all at once, perhaps let's start with just visiting a couple of friends in their garden, where it's a little bit more secluded, but still we are easing into it, or going out to a cafe or a terrace that's a little bit more isolated, that has fewer tables maybe, or something like that. So that would be one thing. And the other one is, of course, if there is a persistent sense of desire for isolation, then perhaps they should check in with themselves if they're slightly depressed for some reason, because this could be an early indication of a depressive symptomatology installing itself early. So people can learn to take care of these cues and figure out, okay, is this a temporary thing? I can try to ease into the activities that I used to like, or if it's something that is lingering and it's persistent, maybe it's reason to look underneath the symptom and say, okay, is there cause for concern?
Of course, some people may find when they're actually outside, they've ventured out and everything's fine, but then they might get a panic attack. Now, if you've never had a panic attack, this could be really, really frightening. And what should people be doing then?
Yes, I think one of the best attack exercises that people can do is try to regulate in accordance to their body. So a lot of people, when they experience a heightened state of anxiety, they tend to look on the outside as if you're a drowning man looking for something to grab. And one thing that you can always grab a hold on is your own body. So if you place a hand on your chest and a hand on your tummy, and you start feeling a little bit how the breath is going, then you can start a little bit regulating it, because you can experience the,
okay,
I can slow down now. That's one thing. And the other one, which I found also being very helpful, is to trace your palm or your fingers in very, very slow motion, and to try to regulate your breathing and going in, going out, going in, going
okay.
Wow.
out. So this is another smart little way in which you can stay connected with your body. You're regulating your breathing, and that should calm the anxiety response that you are experiencing in the moment.
Really good tips. And what I was thinking as well, if you are indeed venturing out and you do have this panic attack, of course you'll be completely paranoid, freaked out, everyone's looking at me, whatever. But these are things you can do even if you're sitting on the train, and no one will really look at you like, what's she doing? Is she fine? And it's quite a, it's not a very obvious calming exercise, I suppose. So very a top tip there, I think.
Yes. Another thing I believe that is, I would like to encourage everybody to consider, reach out to people, because we do have the tendency to go through psychological suffering on our own, whether you're feeling depressed and not so social, or you're feeling very anxious about being social. Reach out to somebody and talk to them about it, and just say, hey, I'm experiencing this, I'm not feeling that well, could you maybe provide some support in whatever way that needed? Maybe somebody needs to be walked home by a friend, or picked up from home by another friend, introduced to a bigger crowd, something small, something easy. Or can I just be in contact? Can I send you a message every now and then? Can you just check up on me, or something like that?
Like a social buddy.
Exactly.
So you have somebody maybe who's feeling the same stress as you, and you can maybe hold each other's hand when you take those first steps, the first steps to a supermarket, to a restaurant, to a social event, or something. So if you two of you are together, then you can and say, do you know what, we'll just go out for half an hour today.
Exactly.
And then we'll do that for a couple of days, and then we'll go out for an hour. And maybe that's something people can do.
Yes. And another thing which I find it's also very important, be mindful of your own boundaries. Somebody sent a message to Insights asking, okay, I've experienced a lot of stress, and a lot of people are dumping their stress on me. How can I, mediate this? And for me, it's like a big alert button: boundaries, boundaries, boundaries. It's okay if you go out and after 1 hour you say, excuse me, I'm feeling a little bit overwhelmed, have a bit of a headache, I'd rather be alone now, so I'm going to leave. I think it's perfectly acceptable. Nobody should be pushing themselves so hard outside of a comfort zone that it causes them damage. It's okay to try a little bit, but if you're feeling it's too much, it's perfectly acceptable to just say, okay, this is enough for me now, I'm going to go. Of course, prioritize your own well-being above the collective well-being or the social. So
it's so easy to be that sponge, isn't it? And then suddenly you're getting it all, and then you go home and you feel 10 times worse than before you went out, which wasn't the purpose of the whole exercise. And it's also, of course, I suspect there's differences for people who perhaps are living alone. This is a whole other stress. And also people who are living together with someone who kind of, oh God, I need to get out just to have some space, but I'm afraid to go out. So I need, it's sort of a vicious cycle. So there's so many different forms. It's like all these new stresses that have come as a result. In the news bit, I had a piece indeed about the World Health Organization that have recognized that this is having more of an impact than perhaps anyone ever really expected it to. So
yes. And of course, this sponge effect that you're mentioning, Tracy, it has to do with the fact that we are social creatures. We have been deprived of human contact, and now we're craving it, but we have to take it in small doses, because otherwise it becomes detrimental to us. So It's just a friendly reminder for everybody to, try to ease into what's comfortable to them, take their breaks when it becomes a little bit too much, and just check for a deeper reason. If there are symptoms that are persisting, reach out. There are plenty of talented therapists in Maastricht. There are plenty of places where you can get support. The GP, the house arts can be a good starting point in case they're doubting, what their symptoms are about. And it never hurts just to have a quick checkup, just to make sure that everything is all right. Taking rather a preventive route to their mental health than a curative one.
Well, they do say that prevention is better than cure. So often, you can leave things go too far, and then, you're really down that spiral, and it's a lot harder to climb back up. So, and indeed, I mean, we've had you on the show so many times, Adina, and you've always, I know that many people have been to you and found it to be such a safe space to speak and chat, and it's great that that's available if people need to reach out to someone, because I guess some people might not feel comfortable to talk to a best friend or a family member. Sometimes it's easier to open up to someone who's neutral, I guess.
Yes, of course. And for my practice as well, I've adapted, the space here is rather safe. The chairs are pushed apart in an adequate distance. There is disinfectant. The building has been very good taking care of us, that we are all safe. And of course, I'm always available online should somebody feel that, I would rather talk to you from the comfort of my home, because I know that that's also important. So I think the main thing is for somebody to find the kind of resources and the kind of things that are comfortable for them. We've been uncomfortable for so long that we should no longer sacrifice our sense of safety and comfort.
True.
Well, before you go, I did want to ask you, over this past year, you talking to people, and I'm just wondering if you've seen a change in what people are talking about from, 18 months ago to where we are now.
Yes, absolutely. I'd say one of the biggest consequences I'm noticing post-COVID-ish is that people are really evaluating the meaning that things hold in their lives on all spectrums, be it their current relationship, being their job situation, being the country of their choice for living, relationships with family. Everybody seems to have collectively gone to a deeper level of searching for meaning, questioning everything. And I think that's a good thing. And another thing which I find, disturbingly good, I would say, about the COVID crisis is that it made conversations about mental health a lot more normal than they used to be. So in that regard, I am actually thankful that we no longer have to struggle against all the stigmas. And also companies, employers in our region, by the way, have been very understanding with the staff and very supportive in their quest for mental health support. And I think that can only be a good thing in the long run.
It is a good thing for sure. Now, if people do want to come and speak to you, how do they get hold of you, Adina?
They can Google me. They can find me on Facebook, on Instagram. Insights is all over the place. So they can reach out on every channel. I'm quite available.
Yes.
I wouldn't say quite always, because I do take breaks. Sometimes I need to be
Really?
I do need to take breaks and be in a good shape so that I can serve the people that need me, give them my best. And of course, everybody's welcome to drop a line, ask a question, come over, have a coffee. It's a nice.
And you're located centrally.
Yes, I am on the Boschstraat. It's right across from the Pathé Cinema, so easily accessible with whatever means of transportation they would come.
Yeah.
Excellent. Okay. Well, as always, it's lovely to see you, Adina. We really appreciate your insights and some top tips there for anybody who's maybe suffering from any panic attacks at all. And get yourself a social buddy. It would seem, hold each other's hands, support each other, and just small steps. And wouldn't it be nice actually if this time next year we're talking about a different kind of stress? I mean, this has been going on such a long time.
It would be nice if next year the only thing we'd be stressing about is which flavor ice cream am I going to eat tomorrow.
Well, as you brought it up, I suppose we better ask you, what is your favorite flavor, Adina?
My favorite has to be pistachio, and I have to say I'm a little bit spoiled because my sister used to live in Milan, so I've had real pistachio.
That is showing off.
They've ruined ice cream for me ever since. I can no longer have it unless I go to Italy and I get the real deal. So,
Oh, lovely.
diet, I have to say.
Excellent. Well, I think at some point the three of us should meet up for an ice cream.
I'm in.
I'm in.
And that for me is definitely stress-free.
I promise.
Adina, lovely always to see you. Thanks ever so much for joining us. Take care. We'll see you soon.
Thanks for having me. See you.
Bye. Oh, bless her. Oh, pistachio in Milan. I mean, really.
I tell you. Well, there you go. That beats me having my 99 down the beach in Brighton.
Doesn't it?
Almost. Lovely Brighton. It's such a lovely lady. I always love when we have Adina on the show. And we already got some good tips as usual with the harvesting and the tracing of the hair.
This is a really good idea.
Yeah.
I've not seen that before. That's really good.
It's really clever because it's something that you have to, really engage with. So
and
really,
I think actually, even panic attacks aside, if you just feel like you need to focus a little bit more, because you're getting overwhelmed in any kind of situation, I think probably that's a really good tip, actually, just up and down with your breathing. That's very good. Really, I should be using that myself. Excellent. Yeah. Right, well, we're coming towards the end of the show, but before we go, I think you're covering Matt Goes Dutch this evening, Tracy.
I am.
What have you got for us while Matt's away?
Let's see what Matt has for us. So as we know, for the month of July, Matt was going to suggest some places for us to visit as staycation options. So locations here in the Netherlands.
Yeah.
Now, we've covered a couple of places, and tonight he's chosen Breda.
Oh, nice.
So we're again heading to Nord Brabant, and this time it's the beautiful historic city of Breda. I must admit I've never been, but let's see. And last week we talked about Thorn, the white villages. So that sounded really interesting. So let's see what he said. So apparently Breda has been at the center of politics and cultures in the Low Countries since its acquisition through the marriage by the House of Oranje-Nassau, the Dutch royal family, in the 14th century. There you go. So the Orange-Nassau's presence in the city attracted more nobility to settle there and resulted in a city of impressive medieval and Renaissance architecture. Some of these buildings still stand together today, with the magnificent Grote Kerk that dominates the city. So with a variety of squares lined with these quaint little buildings, apparently Breda is a great place for a drink on the terrace.
Okay.
Yeah, there you go. So we're talking about all the architecture, the magnificent buildings, good place for a beer. So that's good to know.
Well, that fits very well with us.
I think so. Top things to do in Breda. Number one, have a wander around the city's winding streets and admire its many impressive buildings. Make sure to enjoy a rest on a bench in the pretty park on the way from the station.
Okay.
Number two, take a tour of Breda Castle, which is actually a UNESCO heritage site. Very cool.
Really?
Yeah, apparently so. It was founded in the 12th century, and today it's a very important military academy. And apparently it was also the ancestral home of the Counts of Orange-Nassau, or Oranje-Nassau, Orange-Nassau. Let's go with that. Number three, you can enjoy some peace and quiet in the Begijnenhof, which was built in 1836, but traces its roots to the 13th century. It is a home for widowed and unmarried mothers, and it's I think it was a home for widowed and unmarried mothers, and it's a pretty square of houses around a garden and a small chapel. And number four on the list, take a good look at the Spaniards' Hole. This is a remarkable.
Are you reading that correctly?
I promise. This is a cold read, but it looks like it's good. This is a remarkable water gate with an enormous tower each side, and it's reported to be the site of the infamous freeing of the city by the Dutch during the 80 Years' War. And Adrian van Bergen and 70 men slipped into the town and recaptured it from the Spaniards under the cover of delivering peat by boat.
Okay.
So much history in Breda. And FYI, if you're traveling, it takes just under 2 hours on the train to get to Breda, I guess, from Maastricht, and about 1 hour and 30 minutes in the car. So there we go. Exciting.
I would say everybody's going to set off this weekend for Breda.
Indeed, if they're not going to Thorn, maybe, you never know. So lots of places to see.
I have been there, but I haven't seen all of that. So God knows what I was doing. Probably just sat on the terrace having a beer. That was it.
You probably just got as far as point tip 1 and then just kind of stopped there, actually, yeah, which is also fun.
I didn't see any kind of foul, Spanish or otherwise. So yeah.
Enough said about that, right?
Oh well, we're definitely going to have to go back then for sure. Yeah. And Tracy, you need to venture out more.
Oh, I know. But yeah, it's Maastricht has it all.
I know. It's so lovely. It really is so lovely. So before we go, any titty bitties for Maastricht?
Yes, I have 2 titty bitties for you this evening. So, as we know, after the floods of last week, everyone is trying to, get back to normal, to use that word again. Many shops and restaurants are fully reopened again. Happily, they're doing okay here in Maastricht and also in Valkenburg, which was quite hard hit. So why not consider going out and about locally this weekend? If you're not going to Breda, you could pop by Heerlen or Sittard or Valkenburg or Maastricht or some of the little villages, maybe for a little bit of shopping or perhaps just for lunch or a drink on the terrace, just to show some support and to give them a lift as well, just to show that you're there. So that's one suggestion. And the other one is the fabulous folks at the Lumiere Cinema are presenting an open air film festival from July 28th to August 28th. Now, this is very exciting. It's down at their fabulous location next to the Basan, which is just very, very cool. Now, Joe, you'll be delighted to know that there are many great movies. I've checked the list. It's okay. No Jim Carrey. You're good to go. They've got classic movies. They've got foreign language films. They've got ones that have won special awards, etc., etc. Now, many tickets are already sold out. It just shows how popular this open air event is. But you can still go online on their website and check out what tickets are available, which dates, times, etc., and maybe go along and check it out. Dave and I are already having a look to see what we might go and have a look at, because this is quite a cool event. I think this is the second or third year they've done it now, and it proves to be very popular. You sit outside, you've got little blankie, they kind of bring you the drinks and stuff, and it's all very, very cool. So the weather is nice, it's extra lovely. So those are 2 little tips for you guys this weekend.
Excellent ideas, for sure. Well done. Yeah, we it is going to take a while before things are back to normal after all the flooding, but as you say, places are open and they do need our support, so let's get out there and have a spot of lunch or a beer on a terrace. The weather's going to be lovely this weekend, so get out there, enjoy it for sure.
Keep an eye on the forecast. You might have the odd localized shower.
We can handle localized showers. We can handle that, that's for sure. But anyway, we're at the end of the show. Thank you to Adina for joining us this evening. And don't forget to follow her top tips if you are struggling to get out of the house, and there is help for you. So we shall be putting all the links to Adina, how to get hold of her, and her top tips on our post-show post. We should be back next week. Sadly, our Matt will not be with us, but that will be our last week of the girls.
I know.
Matt will be back after that. And we hope you have a lovely weekend. Enjoy the weather. Enjoy being outside. We shall see you next Thursday. Have a lovely time, whatever it is that you're doing, and we shall see you then. Thanks for joining us. Bye for now.
Take care.
Bye.
Bye, Dad.